Okay, we are going to get started very soon. As you can see on the a little bit scuffed stream that we have Teddy preparing to talk on give a quick introduction to the event. The event doesn't actually start until around 10:45 after breakfast has been served. However, we're still going to do the stream at the beginning and then have on the intro cutscene. So, I shouldn't say cutscene, a slide. So, just want to remind everybody that this is the Salvation Army 31st annual Christmas Castle Breakfast, honoring one of our wonderful friends, Dan McFadden, which is incredible. We are going to, looks like we're going to cut over in a few minutes, but I figured I would let the people know who are interested. We're currently streaming live on on YouTube, and we will be streaming the event at 7:45 live on InsideLowell.com and on Facebook as well.
Good morning, everyone. If we could have your attention. We get everyone to start making their way to their seats and your assigned tables. My name is Teddy Panos from Inside Lowell, the Megan House Foundation, and the Convenient Corner Restaurant. Ding, ding, ding. It's an honor to serve as your MC this morning and to welcome you to the Salvation Army's 31st annual Christmas Castle Breakfast. In just a little bit, we'll be honoring a very special person to many of us in the room, Danielle McFadden, President of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. But before we do that, I ask you to please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and at this time I'd like to invite Chris Heavener to the podium for the invocation. Chris?
Good morning. I ask you to remain standing if you're able for our prayer this morning. Join me in prayer. God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful morning, for this beautiful gathering of people, that everyone here has made this commitment to gather together because they desire to serve your people in this world and to do that together in community. And so I thank you for each and every person here today. Thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus Christ, which we celebrate each year at this Christmas season, and for the desire to bring joy and hope and love to our neighbors that we each have today. And so now I ask your blessing upon our time together. Thank you for the food that's been prepared for those who prepared it and those who will serve it. We ask that you would bless them, especially this morning as well. And may our conversation bring each of us joy and also a bit of a challenge as we leave this place today, that we continue to go and serve our neighbors in our community. Thank you for your love. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Chris. And now it's time for the highlight of today's event, breakfast. You'll be pleased to know that as a stout vegan, Danielle has personally selected the menu, so we certainly hope you'll enjoy your canned French-cut green beans. Just kidding, I think. Please follow the staff's instruction to the buffet tables as they guide you to it and through it. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a good sound check. Like Teddy said, we are going to be having breakfast until around 7. Sorry about that. And so until the event starts around 7:45, we'll have it on the intro slide. I would invite you to pay attention to all of our wonderful sponsors, including the political ads, and at least take a look because an informed vote is a correct vote. So otherwise, we'll be back on in about 30 minutes. looks like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the podium mic down, and we'll have the intro scene up until he starts. So, very like Teddy is going to speak momentarily. It's beginning to be about that time, so we're going to cut over very shortly. Now we still have the Okay, sorry about that. I think there's a little reverb with an echo in the stream, but this is why we have 45 minutes before the speech will start. So everything should be good. Teddy's looking like he's going to start soon at the podium, so we will keep it on him until the speech starts.
morning again, everybody, and welcome back to the 31st annual Christmas Castle Breakfast, which kicks off the season of giving for the Salvation Army. This event serves as one of the Army's most important events of the year in terms of raising awareness, and as such, we're grateful for your attendance and for your support. We hope you enjoy the program as we roast this year's honorary chairperson, Danielle McFadden, President and CEO of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. Before we do that, a couple of orders of business, however. First, let me introduce some of the folks up here at the head table for you, off to my right, to your left, as you're seated out there. Major Timothy Ross, Corps Officer for the Lowell Salvation Army. And Major Nicole Ross, also Corps Officer for the Lowell Salvation Army. Also off to my right is Karen Pulio, the chairperson for the Lowell Salvation Army Advisory Board. And again, I want to thank Captains Ross and Karen for allowing me the honor of being the MC on the day that we're paying tribute to Danielle. Salvation Army is such an amazing organization, you know. They do so much good in our community. Some of you may also not know this fact about them, though, that they are the only army on the planet that Ukraine hasn't hit up for $25 billion in weapons. Woo! Ba-dum-bum. As we mentioned, this morning's breakfast kicks off the Christmas season, and before you know it, the bell ringers will be out in the shops and the busy intersections, and then the annual radiothon will take place. I'll let you in on a little inside news, by the way. This year's new fundraising chairman for the radiothon is Bij Das.
I like it.
I'm trying to make sure I don't get invited back. Also want to thank Four Oaks Country Club and their wonderful staff here. I grew up in this business and I know how difficult it is to prepare for an event this size, especially so early in the morning. This event was originally scheduled for the UMass Lowell Inn and Conference Center, but as we all know, the governor's state of emergency regarding the migrant crisis and the subsequent discussions about how to use the ICC led to the venue change. Apparently, Marty Meehan found a new way to make money off people in need. I'm not going to be invited back into Lowell, let alone this thing. Unfortunately, the switch to a smaller venue means we couldn't have the usual 350 or so people in attendance. The staff here, however, did provide us an option to seat 80 attendees in an accessory dining unit next door. But when the attendees from Belvedere found out, those plans had to be nixed. Something about accessory dining units being the death of single-family dining, I don't know. Yeah, the no-vote councils are applauding that one. Don't worry, we're getting to you. In all seriousness, Mike and Cindy Kunzler have done an amazing job with this place. It's such a beautiful sight as you kind of drive your way up that hill. If you've ever played here in a golf tournament or come here for a function, you see Grazie Restaurant, great place for dinner. My wife and I love it. The golf course, such a great course. They also have that beautiful putting green, one of the largest putting greens around, right as you come in here to welcome you. That thing is so big, I heard there are residents from the Highlands who want to build 4,000 square foot homes on it. What? I also want to acknowledge, I saw Kevin Coughlin out there from Lowell Sun Charities, great supporter of a number of organizations in the area. They're the giving arm of the Lowell Sun. The Lowell Sun, which is also known as the news director's source at WCAP. Just kidding, he sometimes reads word for word from inside Lowell as well. I also want to give a shout out to Jerry Nutter. He's out there, he's been broadcasting since 6 o'clock. He and Colonel Sam Polton moved heaven and earth to be able to broadcast this on the radio, so please give him a hand as he's out there. Hopefully he's listening to us. 980 WCAP, where everybody gets it, except maybe on payday. Of course I'm going there. I also want to acknowledge the Inside Lowell crew, a couple of them sitting over there, one of them sitting right here, but Joe Murray, our technical director, who's making sure that we're streaming this live, and we'll, within a day or so, we'll also have it available up on our website and our social media channels for anybody who wants to watch it. So thank you, Joe. Let me continue with our head table up here. To my left, your right, the star of the day today, and pretty much every day that she shows up, Danielle McFadden, the honorary chairperson. Her roster's in order. Her brother, Brian Bergeron. Her cousin, Michael Debuk, a senior vice president at, he's a COO at Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. Yeah, that's right, a recent promotion, so. Did I get that right? COO? Okay, good. And the guy in the funny sport coat there, Chris Dick. He's the senior vice president for marketing and public relations at Trinity EMS, a division of PrideStar EMS. So you'll be hearing from all of them in just a few moments. At this point, I would like to introduce Karen Pulio to come up here to the podium.
Thank you very much. I definitely don't have Teddy's panache, so it won't be going quite as quickly or quite as funny, unfortunately. So, is it just me, or was like everybody this morning, really? Christmas Castle? How can it already be? It was 80 last week. Like, I had friends hosting at the beach, and here we are today at the Christmas Castle. But it's an amazing time of year, and every year I sit and I think about, okay, what am I going to say tomorrow? And last night, the only thing that really resonated was the word grateful. Honestly, I was sitting there and I said, what am I going to say? And you're going to hear the word grateful a lot today. It's not thanks. I sat with it last night, and it's where we are today. We're just grateful for every single person here. It's just every year you start and you kick off a holiday season that means so much to so many people, and this group impacts every single thing that the Salvation Army does for the balance of the year. So that's kind of that spot, grateful. Think about that. Just kind of sit with that if you have any opportunity today. So we're grateful today for Linda Clark from the advisory board. She helps a lot on this event, and her work with Meg Mahoney from Wood Brothers Flowers. So you have a beautiful centerpiece in front of you, and if you can just sit, but when you're leaving, feel free for somebody to take that centerpiece with you. I'm grateful for all the advisory board members that I serve with every year. They're amazing people. They attend the meetings, which is kind of the easy part of what we do. We ring the bells, we provide auction items, pack food and toys, run boot drives, and all year they support the Radiothon and the mission of the Salvation Army. So all around us are the advisory board members. Can I ask you to either wave or stand or do whatever it is that you want to do so we can recognize you? Okay, Tom over there, Brian, there we go. Jonathan. Just an amazing group of people. And I can speak for the entire board, and I know this room, when I say that all of us are extremely grateful to the leadership of Majors, my apologies, I don't know captains. Majors Tim and Nicole Ross for the leadership of the Salvation Army, and for all of the staff. Staff came in yesterday, they set up in here, they are just amazing people. Again, I'm gonna hear the word grateful, amazing. They just do so much work. What is done between today and Christmas pickup for toys is just, the work is hours and endless, and it impacts so many families in this community. Four Oaks for this beautiful room and the great food, right? Again, grateful for them for what they're doing. And for our very generous sponsors, but in addition, every single one of you who showed up here early on a Thursday morning to join us in this celebration. And then, of course, we're grateful to our honoree, Danielle McFadden, and her band of roasters. Thank you very much. And then, lastly, grateful to the big team that makes the Radiothon a little bit bigger and a little bit better every year. And to that end, I would like to invite the voice of the Radiothon, Warren Shaw, up to say a few words.
Kind of tight quarters back here. Gonna have to rebuild the stage a little bit. So the first thing I want to say is I think this is the first time I've come to, I think so, the first time I've come to a Salvation Army event in Drake. Usually I'm going to Lowell, to the Inn and Conference Center, or to some other place. And so I want to say to all my friends in Lowell, welcome to Drake. I heard the conversation a little bit about the Kunzler family. Mike and his family and Cindy have done a great job here. And this is, there's a story about this piece of land that goes way back, and this could have been, back in the day, could have been another cookie cutter subdivision. And instead, we have this beautiful golf course residential development with tremendous residential value and great revenue push for the town. And so it's been a tremendous development, and when Mike and Cindy came along, they lit the afterburners. They just did a great job here. So, and you know the history of Mike and the Salvation Army, right? I think you all probably know that by now. He runs and we talked about that a bit, he runs a comedy night for us, but just for the Radiothon. And he shows up with 100% of the money made on the event. Pay for the food and that's it. Last year, it was over $50,000. So just think about that. I mean, we have a number of people that help us out at that level, but Four Oaks and Mike and Cindy Kunzler, certainly number one. I think this is number 25 for us. Karen, any thoughts on that? Do we know what year it is for the Radiothon?
I think it's close to 25.
Yeah, so we're going to call it the 25th this year. Because there's no evidence that I'm not telling you the truth, right? There's none. They don't know. And if I said it, it's true. So this is the 25th Radiothon. And we're going to make it the best. There's no question about that. And there's, I spoke about Mike and Cindy running the comedy night. From my table over there, my good friend Paul Belay, who's now a member of the advisory board, he and a gentleman by the name of Devin Cordero, who owns the Boat, an establishment in Drake, they've now started running an event for us every year, similar to what Mike does. And so this year, if you're interested, on November 12th at the Boat, 2 p.m., Paul and Devin are running an event with some fantastic bands, and one of them, for all you Leonard Skinner people, I mean, there's a Leonard Skinner band up there. Where are the tickets, Paul?
I got them in my pocket.
So see Paul. I don't know if they, just follow him around. He'll get you. That could be a sellout, and so could the comedy night. So I want to say, if you want to go to the comedy night, it's a fantastic event. It's right here in this room, and it's always a sellout. So if you want to go to that event and support us, see Mike and Cindy, and they will do it. It's been as always kind of a run up to this event, and when you get to November, we start talking about the red zone. We are currently in the red zone. The Radiothon is December 2nd, so the period is short. So we really have to move on that. Now, Sue Plunkett is here. Sue is the individual who runs the auction. So if you think you might have something that we can sell and turn into cash for the Salvation Army, see Sue Plunkett before she leaves today, or give her a call. You probably all know her, and she does a fantastic job of running that. And we're still going to have all the other events. The firefighters, I believe, will still be going out and doing their boot drive for us. Just a whole lot of, the Radiothon's a great success, but at the end of the day, it's just a great team with a bunch of wonderful people that come together to help the Salvation Army. So it's all good. Now, final question for me is, would Freddie want me to leave the podium without setting the bar?
No.
I don't think so. Teddy doesn't want me to either. So last year, I think we said we raised $235,000. Imagine that. And I know Teddy was talking politics earlier, which we all know he likes to do. But we've had a serious problem with inflation in this country. So we're going to get to at least $250. So that's the bar. We're going to $250. We're going to go to $250,000 this year. and beyond. So that's our goal for this year for the radio. And Danielle, good luck. I mean, I have a feeling these folks are
No, good luck to them. Truly.
really. That could be true.
It's true.
But there's no issues out here in Drake and Arrow. Teddy had to talk about all the issues in Lowell. We don't have any issues out here. Just a little pastoral community out here. But anyway, thank you all for coming to Drake, and thank you all for the support of the Radiothon and the Salvation Army. Teddy, great job. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Warren. And by the way, it was very kind of you to offer your barn as an emergency location for today's event in case things went bad. Nobody is safe. Before I invite Captains Ross up here, let me just acknowledge some folks who are in attendance this morning as well. Unfortunately, Congresswoman Trahan could not be here with us this year. Last year, she was actually one of the roasters for Lowell Mayor Sokari Chow. She was hoping to attend this year, but she asked her staff to map a route to Drake-It that didn't contain any Trump signs or flags, and they told her it's impossible, so she didn't get here, but at least they're laughing. This is better than the Megan House Foundation event that I did. Congresswoman Trahan has been very successful, though, in bringing money to her district. So successful she can probably change her name to Laurie Trahandout. Now, as for the people who are here, I see State Representative Ratty Mom is out there, and State Representative Rodney Elliott as well. Unfortunately, Representative Vanna Howard could not be with us, or we could have bragged about having all three of Lowell Southeast Asian representatives here. Rod, I won't ask you to sing, Rodney. City Manager Tom Golden is in the house. Let's hear it for the manager. I could tell it was cold outside because it's the first time I've ever seen him with his hands in his own pockets. See, right on cue. In all actuality, the manager is doing a wonderful job for the city. Lowell is really on the rebound this last year and a half. So much so, I've heard that Dominic Lay is thinking of moving back. Those of you not from Lowell may not get these, but they're really funny. I want to acknowledge the city councilors in attendance. I think we have all of them pretty much, maybe missing one. Mayor Sokari Chow is here, last year's honoree. City Councilor Dan Rourke, Paul Ratayem, Corey Robinson, Kim Scott, Eric Gitchier, John Leahy, Vesna Noon, and Rita Mercier. And by the way, if you notice, they put a high number of those councilors way in the back. Great job, whoever did the seating arrangement. For once, the politicians have to sit in the back. But I believe we have enough councilors here to have a quorum, so any minute now I expect to hear a motion to not go past 10 a.m. this morning with this meeting. Just want to say a quick word about Councilor Dan Rourke, who last year was the MC, did a wonderful job, speaking many languages in doing the program. One of them was not English, but I knew Councilor Rourke and Danielle were very closely aligned politically. I didn't realize how close until I recently got an email asking me to join the West Pawtucketville Chamber of Commerce. Again, inside. Mayor Sokari Chow and Councilors Leahy, who are here, along with Councilor Vesna Noon, had originally said yes to actually being the roasters sitting in those three chairs, but then at the last minute they changed their minds. One or two of those councilors sitting out there is rumored to be contemplating a run to replace Dick Howe Jr. when he retires at the end of his term. Register of Deeds. For the longest time, I didn't know he was a real person. I thought Dick Howe was how the senior senator from Massachusetts greeted the register. Dick Howe, get it? All right. All right, let's. Also want to acknowledge from the town of Chelmsford, Virginia Crocker-Timmons, select woman. She's right up here in the front. And from the town of Drake, Dan Phelps is here, former Lowell Sun scribe, now the Economic Development Director for the town of Drake, doing a wonderful job out here. Also want to acknowledge Lowell Police Superintendent Greg Hudon in attendance. He and the manager were great friends. They're very tight, grew up together playing cops and robbers, which are roles that they continue to do right now for the Lowell taxpayers. Captain Marisol Nobrega is somewhere in the room here. Oh, there she is out in the back. The first female Latino captain in the city of Lowell's history. So. And also we have Assistant Fire Chief Dave Keene in attendance with us as well. And if I missed anybody, you'll have to forgive me. Oh, Phil Sisson from Middlesex Community College is here, the president of MCC. Any good news to announce, Phil, by any chance? We'll give you the podium for a minute or two. All right. At this time, I would like to introduce the majors, Major Timothy and Nicole Ross, to come on up here and say a few words for us.
Thank you, Teddy, and thank you to each of you who have, I guess the holiday season is truly here because it was freezing getting in my car this morning and coming out to join this wonderful time to kick off the Salvation Army season. On behalf of the Salvation Army, we do thank each of you for coming. To our beneficiaries who we serve day in and day out, we thank you for your support of the Salvation Army. Each of you are part of the army behind the army, and you make it possible for us to serve others on a daily basis. Just a couple things to reference. There is programs that we provided. Inside those programs, you'll find out what the funds go. For this breakfast, they certainly go to help support the 600 families we serve during the holiday season. Toys and clothing and food baskets and so much more. Really takes an army to help each and every of our neighbors who are in need this season. There's also ways to get involved with helping through the season on the last page with the Angel Tree or the Red Kettles. We thank you for any support that you can give to those programs. We just want to say a special thank you to 980 WCAP for Jerry broadcasting live today. We want to thank also WCAP for hosting our 980 WCAP Radiothon that, as Warren said, on December 2nd, remember this year, not later in the month. So it's coming up pretty quickly. Actually, it's a month from today, hard to believe. A special thank you to Lowell Sun for the continuing publicity of the Salvation Army and our activities. And certainly, we don't want to forget the Lowell Sun Charities, who we work very closely with throughout the holiday season. Thank you to Kevin and Lowell Sun Charities for all that you do to help each of our members in our community. Inside Lowell, thank you for broadcasting today. We appreciate it. And certainly thank you to Danielle for being here and agreeing to be our honoree. Her dedication to the greater Lowell community is outstanding, and it brings us all together, and we're thankful for your support. Thank you. Today, as we say, officially marks the beginning of our Christmas season with this breakfast. It truly is, I've often said, a season of giving. We have given out, you'll see in front of you, these little bells to remind us of each of us as we go from this place in just a little while to give something. You see, when we all give a little, we can make big change. It takes all of us to help those who are in need throughout not only the Christmas season, but throughout the year. This reality of our neighbors in need comes into our doors each and every day. We're reminded of it. A couple of weeks ago, there was a woman who came into our building during our Choice Food Pantry. She had 2 little kids on a Wednesday afternoon, and as I walked them around the Choice Food Pantry, we were able to offer them something to help them to get over their current struggles that they're facing. As we've said, food insecurity is probably the highest I've ever seen in my lifetime. Right now, I think someone once said 1 in 3 people in Massachusetts are facing food insecurity. It's a real issue as we face inflation. To give hope to those people is a special place for each of us that we do each and every day. And our food pantry alone saw in the last month, in October alone, 78% increase over this time last year. So certainly the need is real, and we're thankful that we can meet that need because of each of you and our donors, our Army behind the Army, who help us each and every day. You see, the Salvation Army is committed to providing service, hope, and love to those who are in need, not only this season, but throughout the year. Programs like our holiday assistance, utility assistance, choice food pantry, community meals, emergency disaster services, sending 51 kids to camp during the summer, and so much more. We are dedicated to doing that because of the support we receive from each of you and so many more. The Salvation Army is committed to answering the call to make holidays bright and futures brighter for those we serve. And now my wife's going to come and share a few words on just how little we can do together to make change happen in each of our communities.
Promise we'll get to all the fun stuff soon, all right? But
Don't promise anything.
no, well, there'll be laughs, right? We know that. But no,
yeah, there will be.
it is wonderful to see all of you and to walk around and greet each of you and to realize, the priority that we can place sometimes just in giving back and doing something for someone else. And I'm sure that you got a little bit of that little Christmas spirit start bubbling up inside as you heard the band play, right? Those Christmas carols and just being able to have that sense of stepping into the season in this way. I think it's a gift. And for my husband and I, it really is a privilege to live and work in the city of Lowell and to serve the city of Lowell and also the surrounding areas in Lowell. It's actually one that we believe the Lord assigns and ordains for us. We don't do this alone. We realize that this type of work is indeed a calling. I also believe that and have seen over the years terrific stuff happen and take place, specifically in this community. And stuff that has taken place could humble the greatest of men and women as we just meet very basic needs. Community, advocacy, collaboration, and local government, right, is often the front lines of humanity. It is the front lines of humanity, and it certainly is the front lines of human service. The struggle that we confront and fight each day in community-based and faith-based services help alleviate human suffering, real human suffering, and sometimes human suffering that we see on the outside, but oftentimes human suffering that is just taking place within the confines of people's families and the walls of their homes. Human suffering is in part alleviated, I believe, we believe, by tapping into human potential, right? We all have potential. And I think it's natural for us in human services and faith-based organizations to often look at a person and examine their human potential. Sometimes we go to one side and say, oh, I'm not so sure. But then oftentimes we can jump and say, I believe this for you. And that can be enough to get that person out of their present circumstances and into a better situation, or even just a better mindset. I think it's natural for us in human services to do that. It's done because we want to help each person see beyond their circumstance, right? Beyond the crisis, beyond the moment, beyond just their time of need. When they walk into our building, they often are in that crisis moment, right? They need something to be given to them immediately because it's a sort of desperation. It's not easy to walk into a Salvation Army and say, I need help. We take that for granted sometimes, don't we? But to humble yourself enough to reach out and ask for help because you can't necessarily provide that for them yourself, is a humbling experience. And we recognize that as the Salvation Army. We recognize that as human service workers. And we do our best to humanize that and give dignity back. Thus, the Choice Food Pantry. I'm not just going to hand you a bag of food. I'm going to let you choose what food you would like to make and pick for your family so that you have a part in that and some dignity can be restored. Human potential is the innate ability of every person to live and perform in alliance with their highest self, right? It is a combination of both outer work, right, and inner work. We all have that inner work that we need to do, myself included, and there's no limit, really, to what we can achieve, not only as individuals, but certainly as a group of people, and certainly as a community. It's just getting, that idea of human potential is just getting a little bit closer every day to really who you want to be, who maybe tapping into some of those dreams that you may have had as a child, or some of those, tapping into some of those positive comments or aspirations that somebody may have spoken into your life. Be reminded of those things, all right? Some of us help people do this with a bag of food, others with council meetings and ballots. Some are teachers or events like this. We invest in human potential when we model communication, right? And we pass on those communication skills, grant educational opportunities, pass on technical skills, recognize creativity, offer our experience, and certainly, and very important, to come alongside the next generation in problem-solving skills, right? Enter into discussions that challenge us. Enter into discussions that may be hard, but that are necessary, because ultimately, when we do that, we're investing in each other. Not just in the problem, not just in what is being presented, but we're investing in each other and we're hearing each other's hearts. We encourage human potential when we set an example, right? When we set that example and we model personal resilience. I can't talk enough about the idea of personal resilience, just being able to pick yourself up, take another step forward. Problem is, pick yourself up, take another step forward, but if you're alone, it doesn't really work as well. So having the a support network in place that you can rely on, and places like the Salvation Army, we can do that for people. I believe Danielle is an example to all of us. Would you agree with me? Yes. Yes, right? She's an example, yes. As her bio states, powered by coffee, right? If you've read that, powered by coffee, me too, absolutely. She accomplishes so much, and so much for others. I believe she is a busy person. I think you all would agree that as well. But her passions are certainly evident, and that's why she's here today. Many in this room are examples as well, and this is why you are here too. It is through connections, partnerships, empowerment, community, support, all of that. It takes all of us to meet needs. And the Salvation Army is indeed very, very, very proud and also humble to be a part of this community. And we commit to continue to do this work here in Lowell, the messy, boots to the ground kind of work that needs to be done, in which you come alongside in so many ways and help us to do. Our doors are open. And you are welcome as well to stop by and see us. You don't have to be in need to say, come and say hi. And we certainly pray a God's abundant blessing on each one of you and your families during this time of year and throughout the rest of the year. Enjoy your holiday season. God bless you all, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you, Majors Timothy and Nicole Ross. And while I know we're having fun with the roasting part, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it, I think the words we all want to leave here with are the ones that Majors Ross just left us with. So thank you for that. All right, time now to introduce our honorary Christmas Castle chairperson, Danielle McFadden. President. Yeah, let's clap for her. Let me ring the bells. President and CEO of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and a huge supporter of many businesses and organizations in the Greater Lowell area, and especially the Salvation Army. However, before Danielle gets to say a few words to you folks, It's a tradition here at the Christmas Castle breakfast of asking several of the chairperson's friends to say a few words so we can get to know the real Danielle McFadden a little bit better, not what she wants on her bio or her profile pages. None of our guests had to be prodded to any extreme extent to join us this morning, and the Salvation Army thanks all of them for their participation. So without further ado, I'd like to call up our first guest speaker, roaster, Danielle's brother, Brian Bergeron.
Anyone need a stretch break as we get into Act 2 here? So knowing Mike and seeing Chris, I'm definitely going to be the warm-up on the roasters. We're just going to reach a crescendo here. Good morning. My name is Brian Bergeron. I'm Danielle's younger, cooler, more attractive brother. I'm also the black sheep of the family. While Danielle built community and put down roots in our hometown of Lowell, I flew the coop, moved across the country, traveled the world, only recently returning to the East Coast, just outside of Washington, D.C., to claim the title of favorite child and the best behaved grandkids. And I also think I may have traveled the farthest to be in it. Anyone further from Maryland come here today? Dig it. Cool. All right. I love Danielle, but we are different in many ways. Growing up, we were tolerant of one another, but not especially close. We are united, however, under the common goal of making fun of our brother, Tim, who is a lot younger, way less cool, and arguably more attractive than either of us. Luckily for Tim, the teasing doesn't seem to affect him because he's the most confident one in the family by far, so I guess you win, Tim. Danny and I are also united under the common cause of making fun of our mother, who's also here today. I don't want to say how well she does or doesn't take the teasing, but let's just say she doesn't take it like Tim does. She might actually be more nervous than Danielle about me being up here because I gave a toast at Tim's wedding a couple years ago, and my hands shook mercilessly. But there's a podium here, which is good. And don't worry, because I wouldn't let a good public forum to embarrass Danielle go to waste. When it comes to my perspective around Danielle, I have to set some ground limits lest I run in too many different directions and do haphazard damage to her reputation and the fine name of this annual breakfast. Because I assure you that while she was the favorite kid, up until recently, being firstborn, first grandkids, blah, 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 I think my parents feel differently about Danielle in her formative years, when she was a party monster in high school, or convinced Tim to cut class to go to Hooters while she was in college, where the food isn't even vegan there. One of Danielle's principal identities nowadays is that of a loving mother to 3 spirited children. There's a lot we can say there, but to be honest, I'm just happy to be in a room with you, Danielle, without your kids running around.
I'm happy too.
So we'll let that be so we can both enjoy the peace and the quiet. Anyone who knows Danielle knows that she comes from a big family. We have over 30 cousins and 20 aunts and uncles, the overwhelming majority of whom live in the greater Lowell area. So naturally, I sent an email to the family to drum up some dirt. One spicy vegan nugget I got came from our aunt, whose name I won't mention for fear of retribution. Anyone who knows Danielle knows she is vengeful. She said, "I do remember how thoughtful she was with keeping in touch with Mother." Aunt Mickey didn't get the memo on what a roast is, apparently. Luckily, we have our cousin Mike Debuk speaking as well, so he'll spill some tea for the family, I'm sure. What I will say about Danielle, she's got another side. Not a dark side, just an extra side. The family knows her all too well, but I'm not sure if many folks who know her professionally have met her alter ego. Or if they have, perhaps they haven't put a name to it. Well, that name for the other side of Danielle is called Trixie. Trixie is often coaxed out by wine, but in recent years, Trixie's grown bold enough that she can peek her head out in any context where she feels she is needed, which is increasingly every context. Trixie is instinctual, intuitive, and utterly ridiculous, looking to be the center of attention at all costs, especially if it's at the expense of Danielle's otherwise good name. Right now, she might even break out into song and coax the whole world to join in. Taylor Swift? No? While Danielle is meticulous, thoughtful, and tactful, Trixie pushes the envelope perhaps a bit too far. Definitely too far. It's kind of annoying, actually. And one thing Trixie and Danielle have in common is that they both are the ones laughing hardest at their jokes, by far. They make a great team. So I hadn't heard this before, but I asked the family, and Lauren Trombley, who's here with it today, told me that Danielle's constantly tripping and falling in downtown Lowell. Has anyone else experienced this? This is the first I've heard of this. All right. How are we to not know that it's not Trixie selling how hard she's fallen for Lowell? Let's be real about who's at work here. I know this is supposed to be about Danielle and is not supposed to sound like a conspiracy theory. But I assure you that Trixie is a co-recipient of this honor and that many of you have seen her at a chamber event, tripping around town, or at a community breakfast honoring some local public figure. Trixie is absurdity when everything seems so serious. She catches bees with honey rather than vinegar, and she's way too much so you don't have to be. I expect that a Batman reference isn't going to land in this room, but I'm going to make it anyway. Danielle and Trixie are not the hero that Lowell deserves, but the hero that Lowell needs. Nice. Cool. So, as a coda to everything I've just shared, I did want to say that in addition to being way nicer to Danielle than I needed to be with these remarks, I'm honored to speak to the community that she's done so much for. I'm excited for what lies ahead for your community, your family, and most importantly for yourself. Because while you are completely cray-cray, you do live a life of service and sacrifice and are worthy of turning the care you so readily give others inwards to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And anyone who knows them knows he's not kidding. Brian is an amazingly talented musician, songwriter. Tim is a great musician. Yet I've never seen a video of either one of them singing. It's always Danielle, dressed as cutlery with a turkey head on her. I mean, she's always the one that's performing. So you weren't kidding about that. Next up, next roaster is Danielle's cousin, Michael Debuk, who is the COO of Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. Michael?
That is a tough act to follow, Brian. You got this, Mike. I knew you'd be good, but you really outdid yourself. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. That was nice. I'd like to start by first thanking Majors Timothy and Nicole Ross and your team at the Salvation Army for all that you do for the greater Lowell community and for all the work and planning that goes into making this breakfast a success every year. To all the sponsors, those that filled tables and bought tickets, everyone that's in the room this morning, really, thank you for being here, supporting this amazing organization, and to recognize and honor the one and only Danielle McFadden. As you already heard this morning, Danielle, Brian, and I are first cousins. Their mother, Janine, here today with my Uncle Tom, and my mother, Jackie, here today with my father, Paul. Our sisters, 2 of 8 Landry siblings who grew up on Walker Street in Lowell. Not only is Janine my aunt, she's also my godmother, and our families have always been close, including vacationing a week or 2 every summer in good old Seabrook Beach. Some of my earliest memories include these great times with the families. Before I get into my prepared remarks and light roasting, I'd like to take just a minute, Danielle, and really just speak from the heart. I'd like to say, forget it, I can't think of anything. So, full transparency, I had my concerns coming into the roast this morning. Nothing to do with speaking in front of a crowd that doesn't tend to bother me too much, but more so because I knew I had to pull together some funny material, without crossing any lines or coming off like a jerk.
Cross them.
That's my job. Teddy's taking care of that. But two people gave me the same advice, which I thought was pretty good. They said, you need to make sure that everybody in the crowd knows that you guys are cousins. That I guess the thought is I could get more slack and get away with more if people knew I was insulting family, people I love. So I've decided to formally also name Chris and Teddy as honorary second cousins for today.
I need that, Michael.
Second cousins, no reason to push it. But welcome to the family. Sorry for the last minute notice. Danielle, no need to hold back. I'd also like to acknowledge how honored I am to be sharing these roasting responsibilities with Chris and Brian and Teddy. I just hope collectively we can be as funny as we are diverse. No, but Danielle was originally concerned that she had only asked middle-aged white males to roast her, so she expanded it from 3 to 4 and asked Teddy to say a few words. That's purely an age-related joke, Teddy. But what a treat it is to have Chris Dick coming up here next. I don't know how many of you know him. You can tell by the jacket, obviously. He's witty. He can tell a funny story. I have to admit, when I first found out that Chris would also be up there roasting, my competitive juices started to flow a little bit. I knew I had to pull together some of my best material to get more laughs up here than Chris. Apparently, whoever was in charge of deciding the lineup felt the same way, putting him in the spotlight here in the headliner spot. But that's okay, because I have some information that apparently that scheduler didn't have. Chris has been so busy with work and his kids' sports that he didn't have time to fully prepare for today, so he asked Dave Daly and Brian Shanley to write his jokes for him. So much for me being the underdog, huh? But even with just average material, I'm sure Chris will get up here and he'll kill it. How can he not, being as charismatic as Chris is? Chris has enough charisma to stuff this entire room, every corner of it, and still have some left over to fill in that weird hole in his chin. But Chris's name actually came up recently. I ran into an old friend of mine I hadn't seen in a while. We got to talking. They mentioned they lived in Tewksbury now. Not only does he know Chris, he actually lives right around the corner from Chris. And he told me that all the housewives in the neighborhood say Chris is quite a looker. Well, actually, the word that he used was voyeur. They say he's a voyeur. So Allison Hughes, the new chair of the board at the chamber, is here this morning. Allison's also. Allison's also our assistant vice president of community support at John Doe Credit Union. And she popped in my office a few months ago. She was the first person to tell me the exciting news that Danielle would be the honoree this year of the Salvation Army breakfast. My first thought was, wow, that's impressive. I've been to a number of these, and the honorees have been mayors and city managers, successful businessmen and women. This was a big deal, and I was proud of Danielle. My next thought was, I wonder why Joe Bevilacqua turned them down. No, I'm sincerely curious. What possibly could Joe have had in his calendar already that would be a conflict
Breakfast.
on Thursday?
That's what he had in his calendar. Breakfast.
Thursday, November 2nd at as soon as the sun comes up. Speaking of nepotism, we have Danielle's brother Brian, who is phenomenal this morning. Great for him to come up all the way from Maryland. He's a nice guy, not only a great brother. Brian has a number of positive attributes. He's very smart. He's actually awarded a Carney Medal when he graduated from Lowell High School, which is given to the top 3 male and female ranked members of the graduating class, respectively. He went on to Northeastern, graduated, had a great experience there. Brian's probably also the most talented member of our family. He can play multiple instruments. He can sing. He writes music. You could probably get that vibe from Brian, the sense of him being a musician with the hair, unshaven, kind of a laid-back attitude. All probably the same reasons why when Brian walked in today, one of the volunteers from the Salvation Army handed him a blanket and a bowl of soup. And although I don't get to see Brian often enough, when I do, I enjoy catching up with him and having a nice chat. We wrote in here this morning together. I thought it was great. I gave him 5 stars. And now we have my friend Teddy. Phenomenal job as the roast master. Teddy and his team recently celebrated 1 year since they launched Inside Lowell, media company, and Teddy's following in the footsteps of an impressive list of successful Greek-American businessmen with deep roots in the city of Lowell. Ted Leonsis, former executive at America Online, current owner of the Washington Capitals and the Senators, George Barakis, an amazingly successful entrepreneur and philanthropist. RDT Demoulas, as we all know, owns the Market Basket chain, and Teddy Panos, who writes a blog. I'm obviously joking. Teddy's a pillar in the community. In addition to building his growing company, he also, Teddy helps manage his family business, a delicious Greek restaurant, the Athenian Corner in downtown Lowell. Speaking of which, Teddy, I was with Governor Healy last week, and she asked me if I knew when the hotel would be ready and available for occupancy. I'm not really sure why, but I thought I'd pass that along. Kidding aside, I want to offer my sincere congratulations to Teddy and his team on the success of their podcast, Inside Lowell. It's now the #3 most listened to podcast in the greater Lowell area, having just moved past the 24/7 White Noise podcast. It's slightly behind 2 others. The Chris Dick Reads the Phone Book podcast. And the Sam Poulton Comedy Hour. So enough about these smart, good-looking, funny, and successful people up here. I'm here to talk about Danielle McFadden. I remember the first time that I had the realization that Danielle was going to do something special in the area of our hometown of Lowell. She was very young, and our families were together. It was actually the day that Danielle would say her first words. It wasn't mama or dada like most of us. She looked up at her parents and said, "There's a lot to like about Lowell." And that doesn't mean it was always clear to everybody from that point on that Danielle had the ability to go on and accomplish all that she has. I remember a few years later, Danielle's parents told her to go out and walk the plank. It was because they didn't think she was mature enough to take care of a dog. Okay, they can't all be fastballs up there, right? But look at Danielle now, all these years later, able to get hundreds of people, mostly family members and bankers, to wake up in the middle of the night to get here on time, at the Grand Oaks Ballroom in Drake, to watch her cousin insult her along with 3 other people that nobody knows. Danielle, you've truly made it. And I must say that this room's been pretty good to Danielle this year. I was here back in June, along with many others that are in the room, when Danielle was the recipient of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce Distinguished Young Professional Award. You heard me? You heard that correctly. This was a chamber event. And I have to ask Danielle, which are you more proud of? Was it that or roughly a month before when you gave yourself the greatest mom in the universe mug for Mother's Day? But I actually got some great pictures that day. And I wanted to give you something, Danielle, that you can put up in your office next to the award. I'd ask you to open that up. And I blew up a picture so I could show the room. This is Danielle. Talking about Danielle. After Danielle gave Danielle the award. And for those of you that weren't in the room, I apologize, I can't do it justice. But it was something else. It actually reminded me of a few years ago when Kim Jong-un was named the coolest guy in North Korea. Kidding aside, we all know that Danielle is more than deserving of the recognition, the honors that she has received, of which there have been many. And I could have used my entire time up here, which is probably pretty long at this point, simply listing all of Danielle's work accomplishments and her board seats and her list of awards and accolades, and genuinely complimenting you about all these things. But what fun would that have been? Instead, after my last 10 minutes or so of well-intended barbs, I used the minute or two that I've left excuse me, to focus on what matters the most. In addition to her professional endeavors and volunteerism, Danielle somehow finds the time to do the small but important extra things. She's sure to go out of her way to recognize the things that are personal and meaningful to people. Her promotion. Danielle's sure to make a call. Thanks again. Danielle's sure to make a call or send a card when someone that she cares about has lost a loved one. And she even makes time to cut her brother's hair when he's ready for his annual trim. Which actually takes a while when you use two sharp rocks like that. Just to remind everybody, Brian is my cousin and I love him. But above all, and what I know Danielle is most proud of, is she's an amazing mother to 3 children. While Danielle is a master at balancing her busy schedule, there's no mistaking that her top priorities are Zoe, Milo, and Landry. Whether that means coming in hot and 10 minutes late to a noontime chamber event, or clearing her afternoon so she can get to the Pawtuckettville Memorial in time for pickup before enjoying some valuable afternoon kid time, Danielle somehow finds a way to make it all work. That's more impressive, obviously, than anything that you can find out about her on her LinkedIn. For me, it's been amazing to witness Danielle's development firsthand over the years, from my little cousin to a young professional navigating the local business community in a way that was beyond her years, and now as a transformative leader that has drastically enhanced the way that the Chamber supports and engages with all their business members. And while in her role as president of the Chamber of Commerce, she had to make some tough decisions to make sure that you'd come out on the other side of COVID stronger than you went in. Danielle, you have a gift that's truly rare. You have a brilliant ability to leave everybody that you interact with impressed with your humor and your wit and your self-confidence, but also recognizing your professionalism, your level of expertise, and the fact that you get things done. Danielle's led by a strong moral compass, which is a testament to her parents. And she delivers on what she says she's going to do, which is part of the reason she has so much trust and a high level of respect. When Danielle's name comes up, I'm proud to tell people that she's my cousin, and I'll admit today in front of all these people, you're the funniest of the cousins. I wrote that before I got the reaction I have for the last 15 minutes. We'll see how you do, Danielle. And I also hope that Danielle will invite me back here in 15 years when she presents herself with the Lifetime Achievement Award. To quote the motto of the Friars Club, we only roast the ones we love. Thank you again to Salvation Army for having me up here. And to Danielle, thank you for asking me to speak and for being a good sport. And congratulations.
Thank you, Michael. Our third roaster tonight actually is a kind of a testament to what Danielle is about. When they asked her to name some people who she wanted to roast, there's always three, and she decided that the third slot should go up for auction. So WCAP Radio auctioned off the chance to roast Danielle to make some more money for the Salvation Army. So that kind of gives you a little taste of why she's being honored tonight. But the person who got that honor, Chris Dick from Trinity EMS and Pride Star EMS, was it John who made the call and gave $500 for the right to you, for the right for you to roast Danielle. So, Senior Vice President from Trinity and Pride Star EMS, Chris Dick.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning. I'm really not sure why you're not up here and I'm up here. I don't know how that happened, but I'm not sure when you people will learn to not give the tallest dick in the room the microphone. So, actually, Mike, how tall are you? You're taller than I am, right?
I did shorter than you.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So I gotta stay on script, because if I go off script, bad things happen. So good morning. My name is Chris Dick, and I'm an alcoholic. That's the wrong speech. All right. Start that one out again. That was funny. You can laugh. It was good. It was good. Not you, the one behind her. So I have to speak fast, obviously, because this jacket's a rental, and I got to get back before 10. So, Teddy, you're doing a great job as always, pal. I want to thank you. I call Teddy the International Greek Man of Mystery. Am I building a hotel? Am I not building a hotel? You decide, right, Teddy? Right. You already used the friggin' joke, man. That was tough. I'm just kidding, Teddy. Actually, Teddy, obviously, we all know he owns a wonderful Athenian corner. Great food, great people. And Teddy, the drinks are amazing. I mean, truly amazing. I think it's the sole reason why I have a third kid. So thank you for that, I think. I'm not really sure. That was a foggy night. So I appreciate that. Mike Debuk. Wow, you were funny. I was kind of shocked. And you're sober, which is even funnier. That's funny. It's true, but it's funny. Mike is like that end piece of bread and a loaf of bread, where like everybody touches it, but nobody really wants it. Type of thing. No, but he's still a good guy. Obviously, does anyone know Mike's wife, Brooke? Right? Brooke. She's, I mean, just amazing, right? Beautiful, funny, down to earth, intelligent. So like to marry you, Mike, I feel like she was tricked. I don't know what happened there, but you're a good guy, and I like Brooke. She's a nice girl. She's like half your size too, right? Yeah. So I've never met Danielle's brother, Brian. Funny guy. But we do have an indirect relationship. I've actually been fooling around with his wife for about 3 years, so it's nice we have that in common. You know, it's a good thing. So, and I had no idea the mom and dad were going to be here. I apologize. So if you could keep that between us, if my wife found out, she'd be pissed. So.
No, she wouldn't.
No, she wouldn't. You're right. She's like, take him, please. No. Of course, today we're here to honor Danielle or Trixie. That's fantastic. You will never live that down. No, but Danielle, she's truly amazing. She's great. Just ask her. She'll tell you. And then she'll also be like, I'm a vegan. Danielle, you want some kielbasa? No, I'm a vegan. All right, Danielle. So listen, I love Danielle. I'm a fan, right? I'm a fan club. So I've tried to hire Danielle 3 separate times. This is not a lie. First, when I worked for Trinity EMS, right? When I first started out back 1,000 years ago, a couple years in, right? Danielle floundering around a little bit. I said, Danielle, come work for us. John Shelby and I took you to the Owl Diner, right? Look at,
They gave me bacon. I'm a vegan.
She stayed with us. We're eating kielbasa. She's drinking tea. Danielle, you want to eat? No, I'm a vegan. But no lie, I tried to hire her for Trinity. She turned me down. Second, during COVID, I don't know if you know, I'm one of the partners at Lowell Memorial Auditorium, and we needed a general manager. I mean, Danielle, rock star, right? I'm like, Danielle would be a great general manager. I'm like, Danielle, please, come, right? Am I lying?
True story.
True story. Met with you a few times. Try to hire her, boom, turns me down. Third time, Last Saturday night, Appleton Street. Working the corner. Her and Trixie turned me down. Just like high school. Turned me down. But that's funny, right? I'm good. I'm not towing the line too much, okay? This one might a little bit, but no, it's not bad. It's not bad.
I appreciate you saying that I turned people down in high school.
You did. No, I mean me. I get turned down all the time. Oh, 1,000 years ago, I've had a few jobs in my life, and 1,000 years ago, I was a bartender. Shockingly, right? I don't have the personality for it at all. And I was working over on Jackson Street at the old Major's Pub. Anyone remember the old Major's Pub? Not the new Major's Pub that went out of business. The old Major's Pub. Was Corey still here? He's not here anymore. But so I was mixing drinks at the old Major's, and it was a quiet night. And Danielle comes stumbling in, and she flops down on the stool. Or Trixie, I'm not really sure which one. Thanks for that Trixie thing. That's all improv in this one. And I go, Danielle, what's going on? You look like you're in rough shape. And she's like, they're gonna take my license. I go, what do you mean they're gonna take your license? Who's taking your license? She's like, I'm a doctor, and I've been sleeping around with my patients, and I got caught. And I said, Danielle, my brother-in-law's a doctor. He sleeps around with his patients. He never got caught. He'll be fine. She goes, no, but I'm a veterinarian. That was pretty good, right? That was good. That's a joke. That's a joke. That was pretty funny. I like that one. I like that one. Cross out all that stuff on your thing. So I don't know if you know, Danielle was born an only twin. Thank you. I didn't know if that was going to go or not, but I appreciate you laughing on that one. And to look at Danielle, you know she wasn't a very pretty baby. In fact, at birth, the doctor held her up and slapped her right in the face. And then the mother got up, looked at her, and slapped the friggin' doctor in the face. So I don't know. Actually, Danielle, I'm kidding, obviously. I love the joke, and I could be up here all night, but I can't. And honestly, Danielle, I just have to say this from the bottom of my heart. I never really liked you at all. Obviously, all jokes aside, we all know Danielle. We all know Danielle is an amazing person. She's an incredible ambassador to the city of Lowell. She's a true friend. We are all lucky to have Danielle in our life. The world would be a better place if there were more people like Danielle in it. Danielle, we love you, and thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and almost time for Danielle to get her revenge, but how many pages of revenge do you have? Wow, that's small font. Before I introduce our honorary chair, I'd like to say a few words myself, and I know we've gone a little bit long, Majors, but this is what happens when you don't invite politicians to roast. It's actually funny. For those who don't know, Danielle and I have known each other, and I consider us close friends for more than 15 years now. Hopefully that's still the case in a few minutes. In the last year, our organizations have even shared office space, which has been quite an experience. I thought I knew Danielle before. This last year has been kind of eye-opening. For instance, as was mentioned earlier, I learned that Danielle can't take more than 5 strides without falling down. That is not a joke. I've never seen anything like it. She leaves the office to walk to the bathroom, down she goes. Walking down a city sidewalk, bang, right? Walking up the stairs of the garage just last week, right? Splat, sprained ankles. If you see her limping around, that's why. It's unbelievable. She probably spent more time on her knees than a prostitute at confessional. Also, you all may have noticed Danielle's wardrobe. She looks lovely today, right, in her red dress. She wears dresses all the time. Very rare to see Danielle in pants unless they're, what do you call those?
Paint on.
Yoga pants, stretch pants, whatever they are, made of velvet, right?
Velvet pants, yeah.
Velvet pants, yeah. But she's almost always in dresses, and some of them, to say the truth kind of have some really funky patterns. But Danielle wanted me to let you all know that no tablecloths were harmed in the making of her wardrobe. I had another one about her wardrobe, but then Shannon died, so I couldn't. They told me don't make jokes about that. Danielle recently hired a new assistant at the chamber, Lindsay Former, who's in attendance here. She's kind of like a little mini-me of Danielle, if you have seen her. We're not sure whether to call her young Danielle or to call Danielle old Lindsay. But it's awesome being in the office now with the two of them and watching Danielle serve as a mentor to an up-and-coming professional out there. And each and every day, she's giving Lindsay new, more important responsibilities. Just yesterday, Lindsay got to point the ring light in Danielle's direction during a Zoom meeting. If you've ever been on a Zoom meeting with Danielle, you've seen just like perfect lighting. It's unbelievable. In her personal life, Danielle is mother to 3 beautiful children, as you've heard: Zoe, Landry, Milo. Great kids. Pretty interesting names, though. I mean, even Chris Dick kind of feels bad for them. Danielle is very socially conscious. During the tumultuous summer of 2020, she went so far as to acknowledge her privilege. In essence, admitting that even though we all thought she was hit a triple to get to third base in her career, she was actually born on third base. It's kind of ironic because at St. Margaret's, that was her nickname, third base.
That's good.
Thank you. At least somebody's enjoying it. You folks may remember a period of time in 2022, last spring, when Danielle toyed with the idea of running for state rep. She asked me what I thought, and I wondered why at such a young age she would commit to being Lowell City Manager in 10 to 12 years. And 1983 was an important year in Lowell history. It was the year Danielle McFadden and the Rourke Bridge were born. 40 years later, one is in need of a major reconstruction, and the other one connects Pawtucketville to the Highlands. All right, we've made fun of her enough. Before giving her a chance at revenge, I want to say a few serious words. I'm so happy for Danielle this morning because today is an acknowledgement of all she's meant to our community. She's not a politician or a wealthy donor. She's just an average Joe who gives of her time and whatever resources she has available. And I applaud the Salvation Army for recognizing that this morning and actually honoring somebody like her. Despite some of the things you may have heard about her, she's bright, energetic, creative, caring, loyal. She's fun, fearless, and fierce when she needs to be. She's arguably nuts, but I mean that in a very positive way. She's deeply invested in our community and its people. She gives generously of her time, volunteering in too many capacities to list for so many nonprofits and causes. At an age when most of us were looking to just party and have a good time, Danielle was looking for ways to make a difference, and she has. I'd venture to say she's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not getting close to the $1 million mark, through all these years. And she's just entering her prime fundraising years. She was already a successful business person and entrepreneur in her mid-20s. She launched a social media marketing company. Now there's like 1 million of them, but at the time, most of us were lucky if we could remember our MySpace passwords. Fortunately for the chamber, they scooped her up, gave her the president's role at the tender young age of 28, and she's grown the chamber, she's reshaped it, single-handedly carried it through COVID, and come out on the other side in better financial shape than before it. Along with that successful career, she's raising 3 beautiful children. She has them volunteering already at the Folk Festival, out there in the Bucket Brigade, making money, raising money. Pretty sure one of them is going to grow up to rule the world one of these days, Danielle, and my money's on Milo. But for me personally, Danielle has been an incredibly loyal and supportive friend. Those of you out there who can't stand me,
Don't worry, I can't stand myself, so don't feel bad about it. But don't ever tell Danielle, because you will make an enemy for life. And as I embarked on this journey called Inside Lowell, there she was, helping me make plans, design the website, organize. She even tagged along on sales calls with me. She offered to share office space so we could have the coolest office in the city, and we do.
We have a bar.
We have a bar, yep. There were times I'd wake up in the middle of the night, as mid-50-year-old men are known to do, to go to the bathroom, check my phone. There'd be an email from Danielle, time stamp on it, 11:30 p.m. or later. She'd worked the full day, gone home to become a mom. When the kids were asleep, she got to work crafting business and marketing plans to help me. The success of Inside Lowell is due in large part to her support. So once again, Danielle, I say thank you for being there for me and allowing me the pleasure of introducing you this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you this year's honorary chairperson, Danielle McFadden.
Thank you all. Thank you. Save it for the end. This is good. Yeah. I want to thank Teddy, Mike, Brian, and Chris, such an illustrious group of soon-to-be or already middle-aged men. I mean, doesn't this look strikingly like the Golden administration at a city council meeting? What is up with you Lowell guys anyways? The need to show how far back you are, how close you are by adding I, E, E, Y after everyone's name. Tommy, Mikey, Artie, Donnie, Johnny, Stevie. My college friends call me Danny. Maybe I'll start by going by that and then I'll actually get a seat at the table. It's such an incredible honor to be here today. When Linda Clark called me to ask if I would be willing to be this year's Christmas Castle honoree, I was so surprised and humbled. Then I hung up the phone and thought, after 30 years, they've run out of wealthy people and politicians to honor, and now they're plucking from their list of bell ringers. On a more serious note, for several years, I was honored to sit on the Salvation Army board, and I saw firsthand all the amazing work that they do for the community. From their year-round programming, helping with local disasters, to their youth programs and food pantry, to all that they do during the holidays, I am continually impressed by the dedication of the Majors board staff and volunteers. When I first joined the board in my early 20s, I had just finished up my first shift of bell ringing. It was freezing. I went back to my car to thaw out and then stopped at Market Basket on Wood Street to pick up a few things. At the door, there was a nice older gentleman ringing the bell. I stopped and asked him if he would like a hot chocolate. He accepted my offer, so I went to Dunkin' Donuts and came back to give it to him. He thanked me for the hot chocolate. I thanked him for ringing the bell. Days later, I received a card in the mail thanking me and wishing me a Merry Christmas from Mayor Bud Caulfield. I didn't know it was Bud until I received the card and that he was the mayor. Our community is so connected and giving, and the Salvation Army truly brings out the best in all of us. From bell ringing and the annual Christmas Castle breakfast to the Radiothon, Good Samaritans, politicians, community leaders, and everybody in between come together to help support our neighbors. My parents are here. My mom, Janine, would rather die than be in front of a microphone. And naturally, as a mother, she's always looking out for me. One time I posted a picture on Facebook of a Blue Ribbon Award that stated, "I just survived a meeting that could have been an email." She promptly called me and asked if that was unprofessional and if I should take it down so my board doesn't take it the wrong way. I didn't. About a year later, I was at a New England Chamber conference, Chamber Professionals Conference, and I posted a picture of a can of pickle juice, half drunk, on the table during a presentation from the pretentious pickle in Plymouth. I just had to say the name because it's fun. Half the pickle juice was gone. My mom called and told me people were going to think I was hungover. My reply, "Mom, I am." My father, Tom, is the most patient and level-headed person I've ever met. When I went for my driver's test, we went for a ride beforehand to practice. During that very short window of time, I managed to back into a fence and break it. He calmly told me we'd go for the test and then go back. I passed the test, we went back, paid for the fence. My daughter Zoe often says Papa is her favorite person. She likes him more than she likes me. I kind of don't blame her. She also said within the first minute of meeting Lindsay, our chamber member engagement coordinator, that Lindsay is her favorite person that works at the chamber. She reinforces both notions fairly regularly. My brothers Brian and Timmy are here, as well as my sister-in-law Lauren. My brothers are younger and thinner than me. They make more money than I do. And they're smarter too. Brian, as Mike mentioned, was a Carney medalist, LHS class of 03. Timmy was in the running, ironically with my cousin, to be Carney medalist, but landed as the 4th smartest male in his class. Luckily, what I lack in smarts, I make up for with my 2 personalities, Danielle and Trixie. Okay, now back to this illustrious panel. First, I invite anyone with a phone handy to Google your birthday and the #1 song the day you were born. I read somewhere that this song will determine the path you take throughout life. Any guesses what the #1 song is the day I was born? Man-Eater. Ready, guys? First, I'm going to start with my good friend Teddy. First off, thank you for actually showering and shaving today. I had to do a double take this morning when I first saw you. Regardless, you still have a face for radio. And we've actually been friends so long that when I met Teddy, the radio track still cleared. As many of you know, the Chamber shares an office with Teddy in Inside Lowell. Me and Lindsay have been trying to stay healthy. We have treadmills, a balance board, some other equipment to use while working and responding to emails. Teddy has also attempted to hop on this trend. However, I am very skeptical, since the only time I've ever seen Teddy eat a balanced diet is when he has a double cheeseburger in each hand. Before Teddy met his wife Riley, I had heels higher than his standards. I mean, he really hit the jackpot when he met Riley. The irony is that his self-declared work wife at WCAP is stuck in the decade that Riley was born. Maybe we can get a time machine to actually send her back there. Not Riley, the work wife. Older women who like younger men are called cougars. Older men who like younger women are called teddies. Teddy's family owns the Athenian Corner. Years ago, they put an item on the menu named after one of Lowell's favorite Irishmen called the Golden Greek, in Tom Golden's honor. When he became manager, the counselors' noses started getting all out of joint. Why hadn't Teddy named anything after them? With that, Teddy planned his famous martini-making class and invited the council on a Sunday while the restaurant was closed because, well, 11 drinks is a lot. He did invite the media to come, but the Lowell Sun was too busy trying to find actual relevant content for the following Sunday's column, and WCAP was having technical issues and could only broadcast from Gary's basement. So this is why it's the first time any of us are hearing about this. Teddy headed to the bar, perplexed that Corey Robinson's sign that was at Warp and Weft had somehow been moved to the Athenian Corner, ironically right in front of the ingredients for the first martini, which was for Vesna Noon. The top shelf martini, because Vesna always tops the ticket at the number 1 or 2 spot. This was followed by a Crown Royal Martini for the Queen of Lowell, Rita Mercia. Rivaling tipper for the top spot of Honorary Greek, Teddy took a break from martinis to pour a round of Greek kisses for Mayor Chow, to which Shikari started dancing and asking around for a karaoke machine for some karaoke, and someone to take a picture, of course. At this point, all the counselors were loosening up, getting festive. So Teddy poured everyone a round of birthday cake martinis for Paul Ratayem, who's always celebrating his colleagues on the council. Paul loves that one. Woo! Thanks, Paul. Anybody else? Taking in the scenery, Teddy lined up 11 more glasses and poured his next concoction. He added a splash of something sweet to each glass to create the splash pad martini for Kim Scott. The ADU flip martini followed for John Leahy. This drink consisted of an all-white liqueur from the oldest bottle at Teddy's bar. After polishing off that bottle, Teddy was determined to become more equitable and inclusive with all of his alcohol choices, so he created the DER Martini to Wayne Janessa's delight. This was followed by the Motion Martini for Corey Robinson, which consisted of a flight of 8 to 12 martini samples. They kept coming and coming. At this point, everyone was feeling good. They were eating, telling stories, and a few counselors were even slurring a little. It was the perfect time for the Danny Rourke Mumbles Martini. Impressed with the counselor's ability to keep up with his martini choices, Teddy busted out the big guns. The Eric Gittier Bottomless Martini. It never stops. After about a half hour of this drink, he called Luna Taxi and poured the final drink of the night, the John Drinkwater Martini, consisting of H2O to help wash away the events from that afternoon. Now on to Brian. Me and Brian are only 2.5 years apart, but generationally, sometimes it seems like there are decades between us. I definitely identified more towards the Gen X, very traditional, go to college, get married, buy a house, have kids. Well, if you looked up millennial in the dictionary, Brian's picture would be right next to it. He's all about work-life balance, sustainability, self-care, although he may not call it that. He's very zen. Oh, and frugal. His picture is next to that one in the dictionary too. While on family vacations growing up, my parents would give us all a little bit of spending money. Mine was spent in a day. Disney trips would mean Disney gear and something from my friends. A trip to Atlantis, the money was spent in the casino in about an hour. Brian, however, never spent a penny at Atlantis and white-knuckled his money all the way through Disney. Brian met his wife, Sasha, who apparently Chris is having an affair with, while couch surfing on her couch. Yes, he created a profile on a website, found an open couch, and stayed there in Nashville instead of paying for a hotel room. During his stay, they fell in love. My mom was horrified. Worried about his safety and also that he looked like a freaking weirdo, she said, "You don't need to tell anyone you met couch surfing." Fast forward to their engagement, and my mom would tell people all laughing, "They met while couch surfing." Brian and Sasha took more than a year off after they got married with 4 kids and traveled the world. Good for them, but the thought of doing that is unimaginable for me. When I was in college at Westfield State, a teacher asked, "What's one thing that makes you happy?" I replied, "Seeing Lowell 10 miles on 495. A couple of years ago, I was at my parents' place in New York with my mom, dad, brothers, sister-in-laws. The kids were sleeping, and we were enjoying wine by the fireplace, when out of nowhere, my mom declares, "Me and Dad always said Danielle was our boy." My dad looked at me and mouthed, "I never said that." As the oldest in the family, I broke my parents in, kept them on their toes. While they were worn down, Brian and Tim had the perfect opportunity to ruffle some feathers. Yet they allowed me to be the boy. I mean, come on, loosen up, break some rules, have a little fun. Mike's nervous. I had so much material. I had like 20 pages. I had to cut it down. Mike is my oldest cousin. There are 28 of us. We all grew up in Lowell and attended Lowell High School. For years, we've had a friendly banter about who the funniest cousin is. He declared he's the funniest cousin overall, but I'm the funniest girl. The thing is, throughout the years, Mike's gotten a little more buttoned up. Reading the room, taking things a little more seriously, seeing if anybody from the Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union Board is present. I, however, have not. And recently at the Chamber's annual meeting, Mike conceded to me after I addressed Chris by his last name while on stage. And while I am now unopposed in the running for the funniest cousin, finally, took years to break him down, there are some things Mike does do better than me. Coordinating his family outfits. The Debuk family looks like they are straight out of a Vineyard Vines magazine. Seriously, Mike, your collection of Vineyard Vines pullovers rivals my dress collection. How you get everyone looking magazine ready on a daily basis is beyond me. I couldn't even get my boys to wear pants with zippers and a button on picture day. Vacationing. While I travel up to York to see my parents or take the kids to Hampton Beach for the day, Mike is jet-setting off to the islands in his preppy outfits on the rig. A big day in the McFadden house is going to Chuck E. Cheese. Mike roughs it at his Cape house when he can't go to the Bahamas. By the way, I've never been invited to his house at the Cape. He's a better golfer, although his foursome may prefer me over him, because I am the funniest. Which reminds me, Mark Cochran, CEO of Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union, is here. Often when I see Mark, we text Mike, sometimes with a selfie, that Mark is with his favorite Landry cousin, to which Mike has replied on more than one occasion, "I don't care who his favorite is, as long as he keeps signing my paycheck." Which is a fair response, which brings me to my next point. Mike makes roughly 600% more than I do. As an entrepreneur, before working at JDCU, Mike owned First Team Realties, Impact Promotions, where I worked for him, and a couple of other ventures throughout the years. When we opened the Impact Promotions office, I bought Mike and his partner each a painting of a dog dressed up in a sweater near a fireplace. Bougie little canines. I wrote a caption for each of them. Mike's went something like, "Hi, I'm Mike. I sell houses, mortgages, promotional products, and juice." For those of you who've ever been part of a pyramid scheme, I guess. Before JDCU, Mike played in the member at Mount Pleasant with my then boyfriend, and they won about $5,000 each. Remember that? Guess where me, Mike, Brooke, and my boyfriend went to celebrate? Any guesses? The Olive Garden. It's safe to say now the endless breadsticks wouldn't do it for him. He'd probably invite us over to the Olive Garden winery in his backyard, have his personal chef whip up something for us with perfectly paired wine selections from his live-in sommelier. But don't fret, I wouldn't make it past his front door because me and my boyfriend wouldn't be matching. My dress would likely be a bestseller I bought at www.amazon.com. Oh, by the way, he's never invited me to his Westford house either. Come to think of it, I'm actually starting to think that Mike may be threatened by me. I'm funnier, I have nicer legs, and I got John Chemley to offer to write me a recommendation letter to take over Mike's job as COO of Jean-Luc Credit Union. Now on to Chris. A lot of people have last names that describe them perfectly. Chris, you are certainly no exception. At the Chamber's annual meeting, John Chemley told me he'd donate $500 to the Salvation Army for Chris to roast me. We all know the only thing deeper than Chris's love for John is the dimple in his chin. Well, and his love for hot dogs. And Chris is actually a lot like a hot dog. He loves a good bun. He's often on a roll, but also usually full of baloney. And he makes you question the boundaries of what is possible. And to play on the obvious relish joke, he's at the age and skill level in his golf game that he may want to consider pickleball. He can sign up right at the Greater Lowell Family YMCA, where he'll inevitably shake some people down for money and donations to benefit the Y. Many of us in this room have spent years trying to convince Chris that hot dogs, Miller Lite, and Crown and Ginger don't round out the major food groups. I think we should give up. Chris will always be able to work his way around a banger with the same ease he works his way around a room. An expert at shaking hands and kissing babies, as well as shaking and kissing other things, you always know when Chris has arrived.
I'm very friendly.
Chris never shies away from talking about how beautiful and smart his wife Liz is. Both things are true. Let's just say there's a lot of marrying up on this panel. It's a good thing Liz is a physician because they are probably paying good money for the kids' therapy bills stemming from the time Chris was being honored by the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, and he talked about how hot his wife is and what their night will be like after the kids go to bed in front of the kids and everybody else in the room.
I'll remember that.
That must have been when your fourth child was born. You may think I have a big mouth and a questionable filter, but I am no match to Chris. He talks so much that the doctor told him during the pandemic he needs to wear 3 masks. Thank you again to the Salvation Army, Majors Timothy and Nicole Ross, Karen, Linda, and the entire advisory board for this once-in-a-lifetime honor. Anybody get an offer? I'm accepting them. Thank you to the pyramid scheme. Anybody got some juice? Thank you to Teddy, Brian, Mike, and Chris for being up here with me this morning. Brian flew all the way up from DC to do this. I have known 2 of you for a lifetime and 2 of you for over 15 years. I adore all 4 of you, and I'm so proud of you for all the amazing things you've worked for, personally and professionally. You deserve it all. To everyone here, including my parents, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, chamber board members, chamber staff, chamber members, friends, and colleagues, wow. Thank you. Please remember why we're all here. We're here to kick off the 2023 Christmas season for the Salvation Army. There are so many ways that you can help make Christmas possible for individuals, families, and kids in our community, including ringing the bell. You can sign up for a couple of hours, or you can get a team together and sign up for a whole day. You can tune into the 980 WCAP Radiothon on December 2nd, make a donation to the Angel Tree, or an auction or cash donation to the Radiothon. If everybody here donated $20 right now, we'd raise over $4,000 in just minutes. I actually took the liberty of creating a link on the homepage of the Chamber website. So if everybody takes out their phones right now and goes to greaterlowellchamber.org, you click there and there's all the different ways that you can help the Salvation Army. So I encourage you to do that, please. And in closing, I'd just like to say, and thank you one more time, and then leave with this quote. Where you are in life, wherever you are right at this moment, you have so much to be thankful for. Thank you, everybody.
Let's hear it for Danielle McFadden.
No more. Once again, thank you to our honorary Christmas Castle chairperson and roasters for participating in this fun annual event. I hope it was as fun for you as it was for us. I also would like to thank everybody here in attendance at this breakfast on behalf of the Salvation Army. Thank you for your generosity, and we hope we see you back again next year. Before closing, I'd like to invite Major Timothy Ross back to the podium to give the benediction.
Thank you, Teddy. I invite you to stand to receive the benediction. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for bringing us here together and be able to help others through this Christmas season. I pray that a blessing on each person as we go. And I pray, Lord, that as we go, that we might just give a little so that we can make big change in our city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
Good work, good work.
What? Yeah.
Hey, let's get a picture.
I'm gonna get somebody to take it.
All right, everybody, that was the Salvation Army 31st Annual Christmas Castle Breakfast. We are going to be concluding the stream for today. I apologize for the video looking a little choppy. It's just the trials and tribulations of streaming over Wi-Fi. However, I still want to thank anyone who listened. I encourage anybody who joined late or at any point in the broadcast to tune in if you do want to listen to any of the speeches that happened today. The stream will be archived on the website and as well as YouTube, and we're going to get to Facebook also. So in closing, I just want to thank the sponsors that help make this possible, be that Boston North, Hafner's, we love Hafner's, Honoree Oil, Reverie 73, Unicare, Washington Savings Bank, and also the political sponsors that we run, where this year we have Cody Belanger's campaign, John Dakota's campaign, Kim Scott's campaign, Sakari Chan's campaign, and I believe two more, and I super apologize, but they have been coming up on the screen, so we're going to leave this going for probably a few more minutes just to have you guys be able to look at our political sponsors as well as the sponsors that make the show possible, because as I still would love to say, any vote that is informed is a correct vote. So again, take a look at those. Otherwise, thank you all for tuning in, and we will conclude shortly. So thank you very much.